Another important piece that this conference looked at was technical education. People and participants of this conference realized that everybody was not cut out to be an academician, and therefore technical education was seen as being important. That way, everybody, all young people, would receive some sort of education that would help them improve their lives in the future. For this purpose, two different bodies were recommended to be set up. One was the Industrial Research Council. What does industry need for this young nation? How can industry be revolutionized, be improved, be made in line with the modern world of that age? Research needed to be done, and that was part of technical education. And Technical and Education Council was the other body that was recommended to be set up. And this council would look at the vocational pieces of education and compare it to general education that other children would be receiving in schools. So, as we saw earlier, primary education was supposed to be compulsory, and at that time, primary education was up to grade 4. After primary education, children could have been streamlined into an academic track or into a more technical track, enabling them to earn their own living through certain specialized technical qualifications. So, technical education also had to be revamped completely to suit the needs and the development and progress of this new nation of Pakistan. Again, the 1947 conference had a holistic approach to what they looked at in education. The conference didn't last very long. It was maybe a week, and during this time, if all these different pieces were looked at, I think those people did a tremendous job to help the nation of Pakistan reach out in terms of educating its population. Increase in the primary education period. They also recommended that primary education be increased to 5 years, and therefore fifth class was also to become part of primary education. Primary education would be up to grade 5 instead of, as in the past, up to grade 4. And beyond that would then be secondary and higher secondary and tertiary education following. Women education. The conference looked at the female half of the population of Pakistan at the time also and recommended that girls be educated too, and for this purpose recommended also that up to the primary level, up to grade 5, co-education could be allowed, permitted, so that girls could also receive an education together with the boys. Obviously, they realized that the number of schools were not that many, and it wasn't going to be very easy to create and build more schools suddenly. And so, allowing the girls and the boys to sit together and study, allowing co-education to happen in the country was a step in the right direction. The fact that they even thought of the female population then was very heartwarming and heartening, because if you had ignored the girls and the girls were not receiving an education, half your population would be without an education, half your population would not be able to take part in the democratic process, half your population would be out of the mainstream of education, and that was not seen as a good sign for any nation, leave alone the young nation of Pakistan. Adult education was also focused on. The conference realized that with the creation of Pakistan, all the adults that ended up being in this part of the Indian subcontinent were not all literate, were not all educated, and so if literacy rate had to go up, how do you bring in the adult population that was devoid of any education before the creation of Pakistan? That was also seen as a responsibility of this young nation to make sure that the adults, and that could be 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old individuals, any adult that wanted to receive an education should have been provided with the opportunity to do so. Adult education was seen as required, was seen as a mandatory requirement to help build the literacy rate for this young nation of Pakistan.